So, good morning, Dr. Preeti. Good morning, Sushant. And today, we're going to talk about very, very important aspect, role of gut microbiome and overall microbiome in mental disorders, mood disorders, anxiety, schizophrenia, and whatever, because I was looking at some of the WHO data which has been recently published, and some of the countries, US is heavily affected because of this, Netherlands, Colombia. I mean, so many regions of the world, mental disorders or is the big problem. So how do we look at that and how we can help a lot of people to have better life? So that is what I think we're going to talk today. So over to you, Shan.
Okay. Thank you, Rupendaji, and welcome, Dr. Preeti, to our this special episode. And this month have been special for us because, first of all, it is a mental health awareness month, and we did discuss about obesity last time, where we touched upon the basics about the brain health, right? Today we are going to deep dive into the gut-brain connection and other aspects of what impacts. Basically, focus would be on mood disorders, right? But before that, let me tell you some basics, because I think a lot of new subscribers are also coming to our channel and new people are listening, right? So if you see, our body has around 20,000, 25,000 genes, right? And microbes, which if you weigh microbes in our gut, it would be around 1.5 kgs, right? Which are somewhere about 40 trillion bacteria expressing around 2 to 20 million genes, right? And a lot of food what we eat. So we generally consider food as protein, fat, carbs, fiber, because that's what I've seen a lot of when we discuss this thing with a lot of people and potential customers also, right? They generally say, okay, does it have like high protein? Let me have a high protein diet, or low carb diet, or healthy fats, and but you see, food has multiple molecules and chemicals, right? And considering by the gene population, microbial genes is almost more than 10 times what we have, right? And a larger part of the food we as a human being have a very limited capacity to metabolize a lot of food, right? So we do whatever we eat, like we are eating potato or rice or broccoli or even green leafy vegetables. A lot of these foods, some bit of it's metabolized by our body, right, in our small intestine, right, from oral. So again, oral, from saliva, we have saliva microbes which predates the food, then it converts into something, then our body absorbs, and whatever is remaining is go to our gut microbiome. And they do a lot of digestion, because obviously the gene count and the genes expression is much higher for the microbial as compared to the human genes, right? And so it's for instance, if you are having something glucose, you are having white rice, which is starchy thing of glucose. So these microbes actually eat glucose and they convert into some chemicals, right? And then these chemicals is what we actually get, which is actually a food for us, for our body organs, right? For instance, let me give you a very simple example. So a lot of people drink beer, right? And beer is made of barley, right? So if I tell you, let's have barley, let's not have beer, right? They'll say, what a crappy thing is this? Why should we eat barley, right? And you
Yeah.
drink a lot of beer, because beer is nothing but the marriage between barley and yeast, right? So yeast actually convert the barley into something which is somewhere what call it beer, and we enjoy drinking beer, right? So you see, from that perspective also, it really impacts our physiology, right? So we are feeding them, we are feeding these microbiome, whether they are living in oral, skin, saliva, vagina, everywhere, right? So, and again, so now to touch base upon the mental health. So we all know that. So I will be sharing a bit, and on and I'll also ask Dr. Preeti to share her views on this. So essentially, uh, our gut and brain are connected via what I usually call in my language is uh, biological highway, right? So there are a lot of traffic going on. What we call is vagus nerve. So vagus nerve is a biological highway, and a lot of these chemicals and neurotransmitters, and a lot of these are traveling from here and there, right? So essentially, uh, our gut is called a second brain, right? Because there are 100 nerve cells, 100 million nerve cells inside our gut, and they form a network called is enteric nervous system, which is ENS, right? And ENS
Mm.
talks to our central nervous system, that is your brain, through vagus nerve, right? So essentially, Dr. Priti, can you also shed light on something, in terms of how these nerve cells are, or probably what is the mechanics of the communication between ENS and CNS?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Like there is a bidirectional communication between the gut health and the CNS. So it's basically if our gut microbiomes are imbalanced, it has a high capacity to affect the nervous system, like, or it will make the nervous system in a more sensitive way. So it will even find difficulty to adjust to day-to-day stressors of life, and they are more prone to this emotional dysregulation or mood fluctuations, mood instability. Because as Sushant sir said, it has a direct connection, like from from the gut health to the brain via vagus nerve, and this vagus nerve uh, plays a vital role in our body relaxation, like connecting to our parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for relaxing our body. So
Yeah.
this vagus nerve activates the parasympathetic nervous system, but when the vagus nerve is disturbed because of this communication between the gut health and the brain health is not, happening in a healthier way, then obviously the parasympathetic nervous system is not activated, and there will be a constant sympathetic nervous system activation will be there, which results in this flight and fight response, what we call in a emergency state, that stimulation of the adrenal gland
Yeah. Yeah.
and secretion of cortisol.
Yeah. So I'll just add
Excellent.
here.
I think,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
yeah, so excellent. Dr. Preeti said something which is, connecting the dots very clearly. And Sushant, you are saying biological highway. I would say, it's actually a biochemical
Yeah.
highway, or pathway, I can say. Uh, so for the audience, it will be very important today to understand, how do they keep the right balance so
Right.
that they do not have these mood swings or the disorders of
Okay.
this kind. Yeah. So
Yeah.
go ahead, please.
I'll share a few things here. So, uh, the microbiome, right, are performing, especially gut microbiome, performing three vital functions. One is
Yeah.
giving us vitamins, minerals, nutrients, right, from the, metabolizing the food we eat, as we discussed during when we started this talk, right. Second is they produce a lot of metabolites and neurotransmitters, right? So neurotransmitters are like chemical signals, right? Which, so like you and me are communicating, we communicate through words, through languages. That is their language, right? That is the language they speak. They don't have eyes, or they don't have their own brain as such, right? So generally they produce a lot of neurotransmitters, and these neurotransmitters hold key to various you know mental health issues and mood disorders, right? So I will probably shed light on each one of them, and then we will also discuss about certain harmful metabolites which triggers what we call is MDD, major depressive disorders, and bipolar disorders and schizophrenia, and a lot of these anxiety and depression issues, right? So essentially, we all know this is a no-brainer that serotonin is one of the most happy smiley hormone. So it keeps us happy, and we have been told in our biology class during schools that it is produced in the brain. But what it turns out that now, what scientists and researchers, everyone has found that 95% serotonin is produced in the gut, right? And it's
Mhm.
produced in the gut, and from
Yes, sir.
vagus nerve it travels from gut to brain, right? So there are certain microbiome which are doing these essential function. Again, we are here focusing on you know not the existence of microbiome, but what they are doing. So I'll just deviate and give you a simple example. If two people are suffering from diabetes or maybe arthritis, right, they may be having a entirely different set of microorganisms, but
Hmm.
the metabolite or the chemical which is, or chemical reaction or chemical activity which is causing this diabetes would be same, right? So our focus is not to understand which microbe is there, but we have to understand what they are doing, right? So essentially, there are certain microbes which are responsible for producing serotonin, right? And if, as Dr. Preeti pointed, if there is an, imbalance in the gut, probably there is a lot of protobacteria or gram-negative bacteria or these,
Basically, inflammation.
right, right. So if they are, so it triggers inflammation because it overactivates immune system, and there are a lot of cytokines being released like IL-6 and TNF-alpha and a lot of these things, right? So they actually disrupt the production of serotonin, and that's how you feel stressed and depressed, right? So again, your happiness is linked to your, microbiome, gut microbiome, because they produce a lot of serotonin, right? Similarly, another thing which is, this is really, really important. I think this someone asked yesterday in our group also that, uh, how do we have, memory loss, right? So essentially, there's another thing called dopamine, right? Dopamine is again a neurotransmitter, which a hormone, what you say, it's actually helps, in giving you pleasure. And it also help you plan, remember, and strategize, right? So
Yeah.
people who have low level of dopamine, right, have very spotty
Mhm.
memory, right? Or they can't enjoy with the things they love. So probably if you enjoy having a protein shake or having a cake, probably if your dopamine is low, you will not enjoy that, right? Or on a flip side, a lot of bacterias, when you're eating a lot of sugar, we discussed thing, I think Rupinder sir, we discussed it during our sugar saga series, that a lot of people
Yeah,
who
we
eat
did.
a lot of sugars, that some bacteria start releasing dopamine so that you enjoy having sugar, so that you crave for more sugar, right? That's how your microbiome
Absolutely.
tells brain what you need to eat right now, what they want, right? So
Yeah.
again, generally this 50% of dopamine is produced in the gut, right? And it is either done through a indirectly via neuron cell which connect gut and brain, or directly by intestinal cells, right? So this is what I wanted to ask Dr. Preeti also, right? Have you seen, people suffering from, uh, memory loss and, these sort of things, due to they don't understand the reason, and,
Cognitive
yeah.
disruption and cognitive poor cognition, such things.
Yeah, so that is something which I feel, and this is again, I'll just a bit deviate, right? So this is also linked to the chronic kidney disease. So if you see patients who have chronic kidney disease have a lot of cognitive decline issues, right? And it's, again, I'll not go into that discussion as of now, but again, when we talk of memory loss, people will start taking, nootropics, or you know what we call as the brain supplements like vitamin B12, adaptogens, valerian,
Oh my
magnesium,
God.
right? So what is your take on this on Dr. Preeti? How do you think, are these supplements really good enough in terms of, catching up with the memory?
Yeah, it depends, only after, proper consultation with a healthcare professional, depending upon your biology and how your body is, responding to different kind of functions. Of, generally, we need to first focus on what is their actual diet and food, what they're having in a day-to-day basis, and what is missing in that,
Mm.
and according to their blood study sample, we need to figure out what they need, and from the basis of that, because for a healthy individual, it is okay to add some basic supplement like omega-3 fatty acid. That is okay, that is fine. But if someone is going through some kind of severe disease or some chronic condition, it is important to only take supplements based on the studying the blood samples, and of course consulting a doctor, and then only they should take,
So I'll
whether
add,
even if it is nootropics or any kind of supplements.
well, just supplement your thoughts here, right? So when it comes to nootropics, this is what I'm sharing right now. It's something very, very unique. A lot of people may not know that, So the supplements which we are taking is first interacts with the microbes living in our saliva, right? So depending on what supplements you are taking, it actually can either lead to healthy gums and healthy teeth, or can trigger inflammation and trigger inflammation. So the acidic level of the saliva goes up, and a lot of these toxins and bacteria can move from from saliva to bloodstream, which can travel to brain, and it can have mood disorders and depression issues, right? Again, so your digestive systems doesn't starts from the mouth, right? It start from the microbiome in the saliva, right? And again, as we discussed about the biochemical highway, right? From there it goes to the biochemical highway, where there's a lot of chemicals and neurotransmitters flowing, even bacteria. If there's a leaky gut, it flows through from gut to brain through vagus nerve, which can trigger depression issues, right? So essentially, as Dr. Preeti rightly pointed out, so we really need to understand our biology. So we should not go and grab some vitamin B12 or vitamin D3, or valerian or magnesium, or all these supplements. Really, you don't know what your body requires, why you have. So there's a need to understand the source of why we are developing this, right? So that is something very really important. So really good points, Dr. Preeti, on this, because people are just endlessly buying supplements, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
these are two of them. Then another thing which I wanted to share, since Rupendraji said about the schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. So there is you know a lot of what do you call is again a neurotransmitter is what we call is gamma amino butyric acid, is GABA, right? And
Wow.
GABA actually have an anti-anxiety impact. It stabilizes our mood, right? So mood, a lot of people who have mood disorders have low level of GABA production. Again, a lot of this GABA is produced, uh, in the gut, right? And it is also linked to, again, dopamine is somewhere linked to your bipolar disorders and anxiety disorders, right? uh, and GABA again is something, it is an you can have anxiety attacks if you have low GABA, or you can have schizophrenia and a lot of these issues, right? So essentially, again, GABA is, there's a lot of some lactobacillus species are involved in producing GABA, right? So again, GABA is that function or byproduct of microbiome, right? So if you are going for a microbiome test and just focusing on, you know, uh, which microbes are there, it's actually entirely waste of money. You are not going to get any of these insights, right? So essentially, to focus on the functional activity, not on the existence, right? So another thing, Dr. Preeti, you said about the fight and flight response, right? So let us
Yes.
discuss more about it, right? Because that is another neurotransmitter which we think is impacting the brain health, right?
Yes.
So can you just share more about it, right, for the benefit of audience?
Yeah, sure. It's like just before getting into it, for the general understanding of the audience, I would like to say it's like feelings and emotions are connected to our gut. That's why we call it as gut instinct or gut feelings, even in a general way. So
Yeah.
that I know, so that means that connection between our feelings and emotions impacts our digestive system. Just like when we are feeling sad or upset, it will, you will feel some muscle clutching in your stomach, or when you feel happy or relaxed, you feel good in the entire body. So, uh, uh, our moods, emotions, feelings is very much connected to our physiology. When we observe and we have a good body awareness, we will able to feel it by ourselves. Even we don't know the terms or all these uh, detailed understanding of what is happening in the body through neurochemicals and function systems. And as Sushant sir said, so this flight and fight response, it gets activated when uh, actually it should it should get activated when we are exposed to the real danger.
Yeah.
But nowadays in this modern life, uh, like even a research is telling, even like getting a message from a phone, like the notification sound even triggers the flight or and fight response to individuals.
Mhm.
So the mind perceives it as a kind of threat,
Yeah.
a reminder as a work or a reminder for some other notifications, a constant, connection with the digital things. So why I'm telling this is even the minute things that we are exposed to in this modern life now, it has a high impact. It is highly directly connected to stimulating our cortisol levels for some individuals who are having sensitive nervous system. See, this sensitive nervous system, like people might, there are rare possibilities. I mean, you mean, few percentage of people occur by birth, like through genetics, but mostly it is it also develops in childhood if they're exposed to trauma or any kind of unforeseen events or multiple unpleasant events that also transform their nervous system, and of course it affects our gut health. So it is both the ways. If the gut microbiome is imbalanced, it affects the nervous system and it produces stress hormones, and it affects our mood. And even when the external environment provokes our emotional state, that also affects our digestive system or the gut health.
Yeah. So thanks. This is great insights here, right? Just to add, so again, we have this fight and flight response. It is again regulated by a hormone called neurofrine and ephrine. And again, neurofrine specifically, it is actually produced by your microbiome, and so we need to have an balanced level of ephrine norepinephrine, because it can, if you have a lower level, it can lead to, like, as Dr. Preeti said, lost focus, or in children you have like this ADSDs, activity, so these ADSDs are
Attention deficit.
deficit, right? And depression issues. And if you have two more, it's like, you are thinking what is going to happen in next 10 minutes just now, right? So you just thinking preempt things, right? And you lost focus, and that it triggers a lot of anxiety attacks, right? So again, that is another hormone which is impacted by the, or produced by the microbiome, right? And so these are the four vital. Fifth, again, what I have seen is, in our customer also, so who have stress, anxiety issues, also have disturbed sleep patterns, right? Right, insomnia, and restlessness during night, getting up every now and then, so these are some of the symptoms which is again connected with your
Secretion of melatonin.
right. So melatonin again is produced, is a function of the relationship our body has with our circadian rhythm. So again, the sleep. So for people who don't know what circadian rhythm is, it's like our sleep and wake cycle. What is our cycle? What time we sleep? What time we get up? How do we spend our day, our entire activities, right? And again, research has found that alignment of a circadian rhythm has to be with circadian rhythm of the microbiome, right? So again, melatonin in some way indirectly is impacted by your gut microbiome, right? So what is your so Rupender ji and Preeti, Dr. Preeti, what is your views, or could you probably share, or maybe share some examples on the impact of stress on melatonin levels?
Of course, like the biological components is directly connected to our routine, lifestyle. And if our lifestyle is not in a healthier way, obviously it will disrupt our circadian rhythm, which is our biological clock. So only if our biological clock is in a right way, then all the functions in our body, even it is nervous system or it is digestive system, it will function in appropriate way. And also the protection of balanced microbiomes. For it necessary exposure to sunlight, and even exposure to some natural environment is necessary. But nowadays we are not getting due to this modern lifestyle, and sedentary lifestyle is not allowing us to expose to the natural environment, which actually stimulates good hormones, and as well as it is good for our gut microbiomes also if we are doing gardening or any kind of exposure with the soil. So all these things are missing in a day-to-day life, and this contributes to problem in our sleep
Mhm.
Yeah.
naturally. And also this digital world now, everyone is exposed to online, and yes.
Yeah. So I think I would say, we are talking a lot of science here, so which kind of impresses me a lot. Also, happiness is probably the number one goal for everyone globally. And for me, it is, happiness is everything, probably the number one goal for me as well. And what is coming out of all these discussion is when we are talking about happiness, if you keep your microbes happy, if you keep your gut happy, if you keep your hormonal level happy, if you are having right kind of habits. So for happiness, keep your microbiome happy. That's what I understood. And when I was hearing Dr. Preeti as well, I have seen the vice versa effect, that, if your mental health is good and everything is good, then you have a better digestion, then you have, a better microbiome. Uh, so a lot of good things we are talking about, so obviously when we will have the more balanced approach, so we will have right kind of serotonin or all the feel good hormones which we are talking about, dopamine. Uh, so it's a cascade impacting each other. So if we keep the right cascade happening, as you said, right biochemical pathway going on, then it's perfect. Then we are happy.
Yeah.
One question which is coming to my mind is, Sushant and Dr. Preeti, both I want to ask you, is the kind of lifestyle which we are leading today, so a lot of people say it is because of that, because of the work stress, because of a lot of other stress which is creating these things. So then, how does the whole microbiome thing plays in the process? That's one. And then how do we ensure that we keep it better so that people have better mental health, because mental health is a big issue globally now.
Okay, I'll pick up this, and then Dr. Priti, you can add. So there, I'll tell you three aspects here. First thing is, as Dr. Priti said, there's an direct connection between gut brain talk to each other through hormones, through immune responses, through neural networks. A lot of these ways, so if we are stressed, it's both ways. If we are stressed because of work, because of relationship, because of financial stress, right? It releases a lot of cortisol. I think we discussed this last time also, that when you release cortisol, right, it gives a message to your gut that you're getting attacked, and please shut down all the non-essential systems. So you shut down digestive issues, then you have digestive problem, you can have heart issues because SIBO is connected with heart issues. Then you can have metabolic health issues, skin issues, because when you have digestive issues, there are a lot of these chemicals being released which directly attack the skin barrier, the skin microbiome. So there are multiple aspects, right? That is one thing. Second thing is, so it's a two-way. So if your gut is imbalanced, you will have stress. Again gut balance, and this is a vicious cycle. Or if you're stressed, then again gut imbalance, again stress, depression, anxiety, as we discussed during our whole talk. And again, so this is a vicious cycle. It goes, whether it starts from gut or it starts from brain, it is going to impact the entire body, right? So that's why we tell this stress is the major killer, right? So you can gain weight, you can have type 2 diabetes, right? You can have, even you have seen people with chronic kidney disease have cognitive decline. Again, I'll share that because uh, that a lot of these endotoxins which are released because when you are consuming a lot of these tryptophan and tyrosine, which probably you have certain bacteria which are converting them into indoxyl sulfate and preglycerol and all these harmful uremic toxins, which create oxidative stress and which leads to cognitive decline, right? So again, it is entirely body is connected. Second thing is, uh, again, human microbiome is something which is the problem. Second problem is, the soil, right? So there are certain bacteria in soil which, if you hold them even for 2 minutes, it will improve your serotonin levels, because
Wow.
these bacteria are connected with your own bacteria inside your body, right? So, but the problem is soil health is getting depleted because we have been increasing population, we have been cutting all the agriculture areas, we are getting into too much urbanization, globalization. We are not spending any money on actually improving biodiversity of things around us, right? So essentially, we are not getting the right kind of foods, that kind of nutrients. So even if we talk of I need magnesium for calming, so it's a calming antidepressant, magnesium. But magnesium, the biology of magnesium has fallen by 75% because of low soil health, right? So essentially, this is also impacting our stress levels, right? So they,
Yeah.
and overall, environmental species like honeybees, as you mentioned about, Dr. Preeti, you mentioned about the omega-3 short chain fatty acids, which comes from a lot of it comes from DHA of fish, right? So again,
Yes.
the aquatic life is getting disbalanced because of high CO2 emissions, right? So is, even lifestyle is a vicious circle. Our lifestyle is nothing but the microbiome, right? So lifestyle is equal to microbiome, and microbiome, not only our human microbiome, but the soil microbiome, the aquatic microbiome, the
It's like a
honeybees,
person, environment, and
right?
microbiomes.
Right.
Ah,
So thing is, it is a lot of these. It's all our own activities, right? Pesticides, fertilizers, climatic change, right? Because of a lot of movement from you know rural areas to urban areas. If you see, I think a news came uh, a month back that a city in Uttarakhand, I think Uttarkashi, right? They're getting cracks in that city because of overpopulation, because that place was never meant for making huge houses and buildings. That wasn't you know a nature's play. It was more of mountainous areas, and that's why they're getting cracks in houses. So that's one of the indication of the climatic change, right? And because of that, the entire ecology is getting impacted, right? So I'll just say, we are, saying Chat GPT, AI, ML, we are everything online. We are 5G, we are using e-commerce platforms. Everything is available on the click of the button, right? Right. But will we really survive? Because how the things are going, your microbiome is getting depleted everywhere, not inside, everywhere inside your body, outside your body, right? In the soil. Because soil gives us 98.8% of the food, right? And so this is something which really need to answer, because I was actually thinking of writing this also. I'll write this about on LinkedIn also, that
I think everybody should take a self-responsibility to start a home garden, or cultivate their own vegetables,
yeah.
or at least spend some time trial and experiment, that not only feed their food, but also at least they will interact with the soil, and it will increase their mood, and it's also good,
So
good in
absolutely.
general.
Absolutely. I
Raji,
completely agree.
in because where I live, it's really, we have our own garden here, so we do that, right? Gardening, we do. But what about the places in Gurgaon and Delhi? How the people are managing it, right?
Difficult, yeah.
I need to buy a farm near Gurgaon now. Looks like, because in Punjab I have, my dad doing it all the time. We have a big piece of land where he cultivates everything, though he's a doctor. But then, you said the right thing. Even in Gurgaon, Noida, and all these mega cities, you need to cultivate that habit. Have stay near, the ecosystem, and develop something which is much more
And
meaningful.
sustainability is also one important factor, because our usage of many materials that affects the ecosystem, and that is what making the oceans, it disrupts the health of the ocean. And obviously, we are, even though if we have supplement, we won't get the enough actual quality. Uh,
No, again,
get
supplement is subject to your digestive system, and again, if you, it is all interconnected. So if you are not getting, you know, nat supplements from natural food, either because of low bioavailability or because of a lot of inflammation going on inside your body, you're going to supplements. Again, supplement goes through the same digestive process, right, from mouth to your large intestine, right? And again, it boils down to your microbiome, right? So this is something really important to understand.
Yeah.
and
So
one
one,
more,
yeah,
yeah,
please.
please. Yeah, one more thing I like to remind the audience, that if you are a person who are going through any kind of mental health issues like anxiety, depression, or mood instability, you need to check, or you need to be aware of how is your digestive health, how it works. And if you find any kind of difficulty or disturbance in that, you need to consult a doctor and take appropriate steps to balance both of course, as like you need to consult a mental health professional, you need to also take a step to consult a physician, yeah, gastroenterologist, to make sure like whether your gut health is right or not. I mean, healthy, or it's having any kind of problem. And if you are a person who are having some ulcerative colitis or kind of inflammation in the gut, and please be aware of how your emotions, how you respond to the day-to-day stressors, and if you find difficulty in your cognition levels, etc., you need to seek mental health support as well. So it is a holistic thing. Please keep in mind that. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, sir. Before
Yeah,
we
and what I was saying is, we have talked a lot of useful science here, which can benefit, millions and millions of people, who should. I would suggest everyone should watch, these things. My proposal was also we should have at least, some Indian study done, so we can have Indian samples, maybe, some 200, 500 samples, 100 samples, and those who are under stress, and then look at their microbiome and then publish that data, because a lot of data exists elsewhere in the world, but we can have more and more papers coming out from the India perspective, from mental health and microbiome perspective. So that's something which is
just to add
coming
here
to
that, Dr. Preeti, also you want to share that Rupinder ji and another person from IT sector, who brings in PhD in IT, we are actually coming together to write a paper on the precision nutrition, right? Because nutrition is really, really, underrated in India, right? And we really need to understand nutrition rightly. And there's a good point, sir. So probably we'll be start writing, and we'll take another 3 to
Also,
4.
some other day we can share about the neurodivergence and people with neurodivergence. Of course, you have already talked about ADHD and autism. I have watched that, but in general neurodivergence, like even the mild to moderate people who fall around this neurodivergence, we should also have a look on their gut health and take the necessary steps, because it will help them in overall way. I feel like just now I got this thought.
Yeah. So we have to sign off because I think time is running short now, right? But I think I hope we covered everything now on the gut and the gut brain axis, right? And we'll be coming up with we're coming up with a webinar on nutrition, precision nutrition. I'll be sharing the date soon. So we'll be doing a webinar on that, And,
Sure. Wonderful, and really time well spent, I would say, and audience can grab a lot out of this. So thank you very much, Sushant. Thank you, Dr. Preeti. Let's keep our campaign going.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.